The next from Volvo will be this in India. The C40 Recharge. It is an all-electric, and in case you are wondering, yes, it is identical to the XC40 Recharge. Well, almost identical. Now, most car makers, when they have twin models, will go way out of their way to tell you and convince you that they are very different. So it was refreshing to hear from Volvo that, you know what, this is really the twin of the XC40 Recharge. In fact, they'll go so far as to tell you the front half of the car is identical. And so, in terms of the visual identity, you see that right away. It's only around here where the roofline starts to slope downwards that you get the sense of this being a coupe SUV, or, well, not quite an SUV, but more of a crossover. Frankly, the proportion on this one works because you've heard me be critical in the past about every such car, right? That it looks kind of neutered. It doesn't really look butch enough. This one isn't trying to be butch. It's compact, it's urban, and it looks like a nice big hatchback. What's not to like about that? I have spent some time with the C40 earlier this year in Sweden. My test car is sage green, which I think looks very Scandinavian and really suits the car. I also got a chance to drive the Fjord blue one, though that's the same color as the first C40 I got to drive about 18 months ago in California, USA. The C40 Recharge is a great size and shape for the urban dweller, and it's one of those cars you will simply just like or not like in terms of its looks. The crossover coupe has the same face as the XC40, but the rear has the falling roofline and hatch door with its own characteristic vertical taillight stack. Now, the C40 will of course be Volvo's next big launch in India, and that's not a surprise because it was talked about when its twin, the XC40 Recharge, arrived. The C40 is nearly the same size as the XC40 with the same length, wheelbase and width. It is just a mere 56mm shorter due to that coupe styling. So having spent time with the C40 in the past, I had a certain expectation, and of course that expectation has been more than met. Driving here in the Swedish countryside, typical weather for the winter time has also thrown up a few challenges, which is nice. The winter tires do give you a slightly harder ride quality and a little bit of that rumble that creeps into the cabin, but you know what, that is just something that goes with the territory of being here in the winter time. Having said that, I think the dynamics is what you'd really be looking for on a car like this, and they're very evenly matched with the way the XC40 feels, because aside from the roofline and the fact that you get a little bit of aero on this car and therefore maybe about 4 or 5 kilometers more driving range, it is very similar. The C40 has the same battery and drivetrain as its SUV twin. It has a 78 kilowatt-hour battery and there are 3 variants: the single motor extended range and the twin motor. The car with me is the twin, and so all-wheel drive is standard. A fast charge with a 200 kilowatt DC fast charger gets you up to 80% battery capacity in 27 minutes. On a 11 kilowatt AC home charger, a full 100% charge takes 8 hours. The C40, like all Volvos, gets a ton of safety equipment including level 2 ADAS. Lane keeping, adaptive cruise control and self-driving capabilities are easy on this one. It also gets the latest Android Auto-based user interface, and music, connectivity, navigation and more are a cinch, like in other Volvo models. The cabin may seem compact, but headroom and overall space are not compromised. Think of it as a very roomy hatch rather than a large SUV. Trim levels may vary, and we have to see what Volvo launches in India, though recycled and sustainable materials are par for the course. Since I was in Sweden at the end of winter, it also gave me the opportunity to test the car's capabilities on ice. Icy and frozen and very cold. Yes, the Swedish Lappland is known for these kind of beautiful landscapes and its massive lakes which freeze up during winter and give you some fantastic ice driving opportunities. Now the ice out there is nice and thick, so we're going to get out there with these cars. The C40 Recharge as well as its twin, the XC40 Recharge, are identical mechanically, of course. Now we've got the more powerful iteration here, which has the bigger battery, the twin engine as well as they like to call it, which means two motors. All-wheel drive therefore is standard. That's important out on this frozen landscape. We've also got the winter tires with the studs, and these 20 inches should be plenty good to do the job. Let's get started. Yes, an SUV or EV SUV on ice. Should be fun, I hope. And we had both the C40 and XC40 at our disposal on the ice. So pulling up to the start of the first exercise, which is the small slalom trek. Now at this stage, the car is really taking care of most of my traction requirements because all systems are turned on. Remember, on the hard-packed ice is where you have the least traction situation. It's not like a wet road, it's not even like black ice on the road. It is zero traction. So stopping takes a lot longer. That's something you have to keep in mind. And we're coming up to that hard brake section now. Mechanically, both these cars are near identical. Very slight difference in aerodynamics. Frankly, not big enough of a difference for me to be able to tell you. I can feel it out here on the ice. Still, managing to get up to about 50 kilometers per hour on this slalom course. Let me try and go a little bit faster on the second run. Oops. Let me try and ditch. No sticks were hurt during this filming. Oh god, the traction control is really kicking in now. I literally have my accelerator slammed to the floor. The car's a little bit smarter than I am. Perhaps. And that is when our instructors permitted us to turn traction control off. This is where the car and the driver's skill have to come into play more. Now there's been fresh overnight snow, and the light powdery snow actually gives you a lot of traction. It's the smooth, hard-packed ice that doesn't. So for now, it's all very well, but as our cars continue to go on this circuit, well, that's when the ice is going to get packed down once again, and that's when it's going to get nice and slippery again. Alright, switching now to this white car, nice on the ice, and it is of course the XC40 Recharge. Now the team here at Volvo has been telling us about how they prepared the lake, and many parts of what we are driving on are actually 70 centimeters of thick ice. That's even more than what I have seen in the past, which is about 40 or 30. Now you need about 10 centimeters, frankly, of ice to hold up the weight of a car. So 70 is like, very generous. So I don't think we have to worry about any sounds of the ice cracking or any requirement for any amphibious capabilities today. Jokes apart though, all these events are of course conducted with the utmost safety in mind, and that goes for the cars, the occupants, and of course the conditions outside. Speaking of safety, the brand is synonymous with it. And so, the C40 gets a host of active and passive systems, including 7 airbags, ISOFIX, and autonomous emergency braking as standard. So pre-tensioners on the seat belts, and part of the active safety system on board means that the minute the car feels that you're losing traction, that you're losing control, it stiffens up the seatbelt to make sure that the passenger or the driver are firmly in place, safer to be able to handle any kind of extreme situation. The C40 is expected to launch in India later this summer, and it is expected to be positioned fairly well loaded in a single variant, like its twin, the XC40. Prices are expected in the 58 to 60 lakh rupee range. So to the question, could I be doing this all day? The answer is hell yes. The C40 is a bloody well-built and well-loaded car, and it's just the right kind of EV for our market. If only there was a way to make these cars more affordable.